Even the holiday weekend couldn't slow DOGE down. There was a huge exodus over at the National Archives. Persnickety librarians were getting DOGE'd silly. The Dewey Decimal System's next. It was Pink Slip City at the FDA, Medicare, and Medicaid, and the IRS is on deck.
These are foreign nationals who come into the United States. They use fake Social Security numbers, they use fake identities to steal billions in taxpayer benefits. There's no way to know until DOGE gains full access exactly how much money we're talking about. But over a 10-year normal budget window, you could be talking about saving over $1 trillion by clamping down on massive fraud in our tax and entitlement systems, including, again, those carried out by organized fraud and theft rings.
Biden hired 87,000 IRS agents, gave them guns, and we're getting ripped off to the tune of $1 trillion. Because Biden had his sights set on America's real enemy, Pete Hegseth. Right before Inauguration Day, Biden's IRS audited Pistol Pete. Biden's son's a tax cheat, and he's auditing Hegseth, the incoming defense secretary, who doesn't have enough on his plate keeping America safe. So now Elon and Big Balls are going to audit the auditors and upgrade the software because they're using programs from the 1960s. Democrats are hysterical that Elon and Big Balls are opening up the books because they assume Elon will just abuse their power like they did and audit their political enemies. You remember, like, Lois Lerner? And then she fried 24,000 emails so Congress couldn't investigate. Democrats leaked Trump's tax returns to Maddow. Maddow's like waving them live on TV. That's a felony. And they're worrying about Musk? Democrats are already in prison for doing what they're accusing Musk of. Whose tax returns is he going to leak? Hunter's? He didn't file any. Almost 1,000 people have full unmasked access to taxpayer data. 20 of them are student researchers, basically interns, have access to your tax returns. Democrats don't care. They only care when the guy who has access might find fraud. Like all good detectives, DOGE is following the money. Next up on the list, Fort Knox, home to the largest gold reserve in the country, and we go years without sending inspectors in. How much gold does Fort Knox hold? Only one way to find out. This all happening while massive amounts of gold bullion are being flown in from London vaults. It can't all be because Judge Jeanine's going jewelry shopping, can it? Dozers are still sniffing out the bacon. Here's what they found this weekend. $35 million for a gender equality and women empowerment hub, a girl hub, where women hang out and pump each other up. Sounds like a sorority. $29 million to strengthen political landscape in Bangladesh. That is so generic. It could be anything. Strengthen the political landscape. It's vague for a reason. DOGE says we spent $21 million for voter turnout in India. Now imagine if the Indian government spent $21 million for voter turnout in America and Trump won. When they do it, it's election interference. When we do it, it's strengthening the political landscape. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. What are we doing? Giving pep talks to Africans before they cast ballots? You got this. We got this. It's going to work this time. Why are we spending so much money on other countries' elections while we're still counting votes in California? Those also found $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. Mali's run by mercenaries and plagued by ancient ethnic warfare. Not to mention landmines, torture, sexual violence, and child marriage. I'm sure that $14 million is just what Mali needs to be socially cohesive. And $2 million to help Kosovo and Egypt recycle. We don't even recycle here. What are we, just buying them blue bins? We just bombed the bejesus out of Kosovo, and now we're telling them to recycle. A new report says the government's already nearing $1 trillion in the hole for the year. Democrats should not fight this. Their boys, Bill and Al, were for DOGE before DOGE was cool.
Mr. President, if you want to know why government doesn't work, look behind you. The answer is at least partly on those forklifts. Is this the way it has to be? Well, the good news is that it doesn't have to be this way. We can cut it dramatically. We can downsize government by 12%, reducing the bureaucracy by 252,000 positions.
DOGE is forklifting the fraud out of Washington. So what are Democrats doing? Sheryl Crow says she's selling her Tesla and donating the money to NPR. And rhinos are roaring at Democrats to do something.
So I just like to see somebody wake the hell up and get excited about the fact that your country is under assault. They're not at the gate anymore. They're in your bedrooms. They're in your living rooms. They're in your businesses. They got your data, dumbass. They got all your stuff. Elon Musk has his tentacles in everything you're doing, not just off of X, but now he's in the Treasury Department. He's in the Labor Department. He's in the Department of Homeland Security. And nobody seems to give a damn. So that's all I want, somebody to show that they care enough to get off their fat ass and say something about it.
What Steele's saying is the Democrats believe the government's theirs. It's not your government, it's theirs. To them, it's like DOGE is auditing the DNC. So this is just another Watergate. They're acting like Trump didn't win the election, and he has no right to run the government. Instead of defending the taxpayers, the media is defending the government. Here's 60 Minutes.
People are really scared. I think that, 12 days ago, people knew where their next paycheck was coming from. They knew how they were going to pay for their kids' daycare, their medical bills, and then all gone overnight.
All gone overnight for Christina Dry and Adam Dubard, fired this month in the chaotic shutdown of foreign aid.
They're not looking for competency. They're not looking for if you're good at your job. They're looking for pure loyalty tests. And if you don't give it, you will be punished.
There was no process. No one explained to them why they were being relieved.
To my knowledge, they received an email, and then if they didn't leave the building, they were escorted out of the building.
These people got generous buyouts, 8-month severance. I'm sorry, but did CVS interview the fired Keystone Pipeline workers, the fired Army officers who refused the needle, or Black Americans who lost their job to migrants? No. That one lady was Samantha Powers' speechwriter. She's no random civil servant. She's the top flack for the USAID chief. Just last week, this same lady told ABC she was pocketing her pride flags. The networks are using the same victim over and over.
DOGE was in the building. We took down our pride flags. I took out any books I felt would be incriminating. No one was talking. We heard they started taking transcripts automatically of all of our Google Meets. They unplugged the news in the little kitchen galleys. It didn't feel good. And then Saturday, all of the websites went down, and then I lost complete access to my computer.
60 Minutes is CBS's premier investigative unit. And they never mention the $20 million for Iraqi Sesame Street, or sex changes in Guatemala, or DEI operas, or all the dough spent on failed coups. Never mentioned it. We're $36 trillion in debt. We're cutting headcount, just like media organizations do to balance their books, just like Clinton and Gore did. Last week, Vance was in Germany and told the chancellor to knock off the censorship and step up their NATO spending. And the American media sided with the Germans and called Vance Hitler.
He was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none.
It was illegal to criticize the Nazi government. It was against the law to tell a joke about Hitler, and he had a dumb mustache and one testicle. Couldn't joke about it. Newspapers were shut down, books were burned, radio stations were censored. Free speech didn't trigger the Holocaust. CBS's crack research team's too busy editing the Kamala interview to learn that. On the same day, CBS celebrated an armed raid in Germany because a guy posted a cartoon.
It's 6:01 on a Tuesday morning, and we were with state police as they raided this apartment in northwest Germany. Inside, 6 armed officers searched a suspect's home, then seized his laptop and cell phone. Prosecutors say those electronics may have been used to commit a crime. The crime, posting a racist cartoon online.
And it's a crime to insult them online as well?
Yes.
If somebody posts something that's not true, and then somebody else reposts it or likes it, are they committing a crime?
Yeah, in the case of reposting, it is a crime as well, because the reader can't distinguish whether you just invented this or just reposted it.
Germany's letting migrants into the country who are committing gang rape, and they have cops kicking down doors over a cartoon. CBS is defending Germany, a country who started 2 world wars that cost millions of lives, and who tariff our automobiles quite unfairly, I might add. They're defending a country who boos our national anthem, Canada. Trump renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, and the media is defending Mexico. The media is defending the IRS. The media is defending cockamamie spending like millions for Egyptian recycling. Trump has the left defending the indefensible. The Democrats have become so toxic that Politico's warning them to just stay out of the way. Quote, despite this intense daily barrage of negative reporting, Trump's drive to slash the size of the U.S. government remains one of his most popular policies, and there's no sign of it stopping anytime soon. Trump's in the driver's seat, and Democrats are getting lapped.
And for all of you in Canada, thank you for watching. You need to start securing your own border. You need to start contributing to your national defense because you rely on us. And you need to start paying your fair share to NATO. And if Canada doesn't want free trade, okay, there will be reciprocal tariffs. It has to work both ways. Even before Donald Trump was sworn into office, Canada charged hefty tariffs on certain American agricultural products. They completely blocked other products. And for some reason, the U.S. also regularly is giving Canada tens of millions of dollars in foreign aid. We don't deserve to be booed, and we're not going to take that. Thanks to DOGE, thanks to Elon Musk, this kind of unusual spending in the name of foreign aid, that is going to come to an end and not a moment too soon. And according to testimony from the CEO of LexisNexis, more than $1 trillion of your hard-earned tax dollars stolen during the height of COVID. Most of that money going abroad, not helping Americans. And the GAO reporting last year alone, Biden wasted $236 billion. That is nearly $250 billion wasted in a year. And meanwhile, Elon Musk discovers this, reveals it to the American people. He announced even more than 20 million people over 100 years old. 20 million are still listed on the Social Security database. In other words, the federal government could, we don't know yet, but they're listed on the database. They could be sending checks to people who are long dead or their relatives that are cashing the checks. Now, of course, DOGE is rooting out waste, fraud, abuse, corruption all across the federal government. They've already recovered billions and billions in wrongful spending while reducing the size of government. And liberals now are screaming into the void. But here's an interesting point that I'm pretty sure the mainstream state-run media mob won't tell you about, because it wasn't long ago. Top Democrats, people that you know, were advocating for Donald Trump's very plan. Take a listen.
This report tells us how to cut waste, cut red tape, streamline the bureaucracy, change procurement rules, change the personnel rules, and create a government that works better and costs less.
By paying for these plans first with cuts in government waste and efficiency, second with cuts, not gimmicks, in government spending.
We'll prove that we can spend the money we have in an appropriate way and stop wasting so much of it.
But over the next several months, we will be looking at every other agency and program, asking the direct question, do we really need this agency? Do we really need this program?
20 years into a period in our history where most American wage earners are working longer work weeks for stagnant wages. It is outrageous for the government to have rules and regulations which take those people's money from them and spend it on things that cannot be justified.
One of the commitments that I made to the American people was that we would do a better job here in Washington in rooting out wasteful spending.
Ah, amazing. They sound like Donald Trump, except they never got the job done. How times have changed. Now, tonight there are reports of a collective panic in the Washington swamp, a flood of new real estate listings as Trump dismantles the Washington bureaucracy at a rapid pace.
It's natural to feel that way. Happy Monday, everyone. So today is President's Day. The only federal institution open today is Bill Clinton's pants. It is his favorite holiday, of course, because he can always get a good deal on a mattress. According to the White House staffers, while visiting Donald Trump in the Oval Office, Elon Musk's 4-year-old needed a diaper change. Luckily, there was plenty left over from the previous tenant. According to the Republican National Committee, Joe Biden spent a record 577 days outside the White House, mostly because he couldn't remember where he lived. Conservative writer Ashley St. Clair announced on X that Elon Musk is the father of her child. This will be Elon's 13th kid. Turns out he can build a rocket, he just can't protect his. She said she knew Elon was the father when the baby turned his pacifier into a telescope. You know, speaking of babies, people have asked me, Greg, why haven't I posted any pictures of my baby? Well, first off, I respect my family's privacy, and I hope you do too. But since it's now a topic of discussion, I guess I can share one photo. I hear it starts to look more like me as the baby gets older. Over the weekend, Donald Trump attended the Daytona 500 and drove a lap around the track. Kamala would never have done this if she were president. She only talks in circles. A Brazilian couple, aren't they all? Has set the world record for the longest marriage, 84 years and 77 days. The husband credits their long union to one simple thing. He's deaf. It's a heartwarming tale. Finally, on Saturday, the U.S. versus Canada hockey game started off with 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. I was glad to see our hockey players stand up for America, but still, you shouldn't hit women. All right. Just joking, Canucks. So right now, the Democratic Party is about as popular as a monkeypox enema. But the Democrat implosion is actually nothing new, because it happened to the other guys 8 years ago. Remember that before destroying the Democratic Party, Donald Trump destroyed the Republican Party by making the old guard seem timid and obsolete. Paul Ryan suddenly became the political equivalent of an outhouse. It's still out there in the fields, but no one goes near it. So what Trump accomplished is really amazing. He saw both parties as the same thing and took them both down. Seriously, who else can kill a party just by showing up? Now, the current Democrat Party may not be completely dead, but it's definitely on a ventilator. And if sane Democrats still exist, they gotta wise up. They need a dose of common sense, tough love, and possibly some Ozempic. So, here's Dr. Greg ready to write the prescription. First, let's give Hitler a rest. Face it, calling everyone Hitler has been about as successful for the left as the View's swimsuit calendar. Yeah. And yet, here's CBS's Margaret Brennan arguing with Marco regarding J.D. Vance's speech on free speech, claiming the Nazis weaponized free speech to carry out the Holocaust.
He was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide.
Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none.
Nice. Weaponizing speech to conduct genocide? What does that even mean? Where did she go to school? Dumb community college? I say community because she was too stupid to get into the four-year. Fact is, all Vance did was defend the First Amendment against those who see it as bad. And from that assertion, Marge got to Hitler. Makes me think she got that job because of her looks. And she's only a 6. Yeah. Prescription 2, lay off the hoaxes. Remember that old line, a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth puts on its boots? Well, that was before we knew how fake the media was. Thanks to an enlightened public, the hoaxes now get stomped by the boots of truth before they even get out of bed. Perfect example, the hoax that Pete Hegseth was drinking scotch at a NATO presser when it was obviously water. But when you're desperate and stupid, you'll push anything. Sorry, Dems, it's you who need the intervention, not him. Thank God he wasn't drinking tomato juice, or Democrats would accuse him of being hot Dracula. Now, rather than creating hoaxes, you might want to see what you're for as opposed to against. And this is the hard part, because what is your party now? If you've lost the Nazi name-calling and the hoax matrix, what's left? And I get it, Trump's found the middle ground on all issues, and it's called common sense. It's not left or right. That structure no longer works here. Go ahead and try it. The high ground is called the high ground for a reason. There's no place to flank it. So you have to find new ground instead of taking theirs. And you can't win being the party of cutting off little kids' balls. It's an obvious point. Which means it's time to declare war on what destroyed you, meaning the woke virus that you mistook as thinking. You need to cut the cord of the activist class that so terrifies you. That means, however, they will call you names. But the new Democratic Party must realize that to exist, you can't rely on accolades. Praise doesn't build anything. You should have learned that in 2024. Support from the woke didn't increase the quality of life. It didn't make safer streets, cheaper eggs, a secure border, jobs with good wages. It ended no wars. All it did was make Rachel Levine feel like a woman and Bud Light feel like because for that victim virus to endure, it can never make things better or it stops existing. I go back to my old zombie analogy. In a zombie flick, there's so much struggle to avoid how to become a zombie when maybe it's just better to let the zombie bite you early on. Then you're on their side and they leave you alone. Meanwhile, you can work your way up the zombie ladder. That's what the Dems did with the woke. They gave in to the mind virus, all because they didn't like the hassle of having to fight it. They were scared. But of what? Thinking for themselves? But for wokeness to work, everyone has to bite, but America didn't. And now you lost everything. So now what, Dems? Are there issues that Trump missed? Can you grab them and not only make your lives better, but ours too? Or at this point, can you even find them when you're still clinging to the noxious past? You might start soon. Otherwise, it's your funeral. Let's welcome tonight's guest. Even his shadow is white. Fox News contributor Tom Shalhoub. She's always direct and never incorrect. Editor-in-chief of the Federalist, Molly Hemingway. He's always the funniest guy in the soup kitchen. Founder of StudioTST.com, Michael Loftus. And she's got a baby on board and won't be ignored. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor, Cat Toon. Tom, I like all the layers you're wearing today. I count 16.
Oh, yes, I know. I like to layer up, Greg.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You know, you like to help people. I've noticed that. And you have liberal friends. if you felt that they could take your advice, what would you give them?
Well, I give it to them all the time through this show, Greg, because I know liberals and conservatives alike watch the king of late night, Greg Gutfeld.
Thank you.
But I think you are harsh on Margaret Brennan.
Really?
She knows her history. She knows the Nazis weaponized free speech.
Yes.
I'm also a student of history. You know what else the Nazis did? They tried to prevent the Von Trapp children from singing about their favorite things. They did many bad things, Greg.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, they stole the Ark of the Covenant from Indiana Jones.
Yes.
He took it back, though, and they put it in that warehouse. I hope DOGE figures that out. They got to get that. It's in that big warehouse. They tried to prevent Hogan and his buddies from digging underground and planting bombs all over Germany.
That is true.
They were up to no good, the Nazis.
Yes.
So she knew that. No, I mean, I think they, yeah, I mean, I don't know what the Democrats should just embrace DOGE because, you know, like you said in your monologue, long ago, they claimed that they wanted to cut down on government waste. So if they just embrace DOGE and they say, well, that's not the problem we have with Trump. But everybody knows if you cut government waste, you're going to be the hero. Yeah. So they should stop trying to fight it. They should say, look, we don't really like Trump. We don't really like Elon Musk. But if they find anything, God bless them.
Yeah. You know, Molly, you were tweeting a lot about the Brennan-Rubio interview. And I believe now when you hear the word weaponization, it means that they don't really know what they're saying. Like, it's like that word always carries the weight of the sentence. And she struck me as thoroughly checked out of the building at that point.
Well, it is rare to see that combination of condescension and arrogance and just complete idiocy.
Yeah.
It doesn't really go together very well. But, you know, you give this speech on free speech and the importance of religious liberty and freedom and listening to your voters, and you think, who could really be against this? And in comes Margaret Brennan to be like, I'm against that. Those are bad things. And many other people in the media are doing it as well. And it's just like, no one in history has been on the side of good if they were suppressing speech.
Yeah.
And yet that's what they're going all in on.
You know what kills me is J.D. Vance did 2 speeches in like a week that were great. That one and the AI speech. And it makes you think about, like, Kamala, 4 years she didn't give 2 speeches that were any good, you know? You don't have to applaud. It was just me coming to that realization very slowly. And I will admit, it was kind of boring at that point. I was actually bored making that, like, thought. Loftus, you depend on the kindness of strangers when you're living on the streets.
Yes.
Can you return the favor to our fellow Democrats? Because it seems to me they don't have a path until somebody gives it to them.
They don't. They've experimented with a couple of different ways of pushing back against DOGE. They're like, I don't think Elon Musk and his boys are good at math. I'm worried about the math. Yeah, he catches rockets with chopsticks, so shut up about the math. They're like, oh, he might have your social security number. I don't know. He ran PayPal. Okay, so... They really have to do the Casablanca thing where they have to be like, we're shocked that there's government overspending. Oh my goodness! That way then they get in on it. Like I declare, we should start a committee of our own just to check his numbers and make sure. Maybe my sister-in-law could be on that committee, and that normally pays $2 million a year, but. I can't get enough DOGE. I want a DOGE 24-hour channel. DOGE it all. Pinch every penny.
Kat, good to see you as always. You're a trooper. I realize that you as a libertarian, me basically Republican libertarian, we're used to abuse, so we don't care what people think. I think Democrats have a real problem with praise. They need it. And so that's why they could never turn away the woke, because they were so dependent on being liked by them. Is that a good theory, a bad theory, or just No, that's a good theory.
Well, I really want to talk about the free speech thing because there's a huge misconception right now that makes no sense to me about what free speech is and who it's for. In recent years, there's been this misunderstanding that somehow free speech is a tool of the powerful.
Yeah.
But that's backwards. It's a tool against the powerful. Marginalized people throughout history have understood this. Social justice leaders throughout history have understood this. Whether you're talking about Frederick Douglass, Susan B. Anthony, have understood that unpopular ideas or people who are oppressed are the ones that need free speech to be able to speak out against the powerful. And the way that people talk about that, they've completely lost sight of that. It's completely backwards, and it's almost as stupid as thinking that there was free speech in Nazi Germany.
Yes.
But it's also maybe why they're having trouble. Like you were saying that common sense is what the Trump is doing. He picks these issues where 80% of people agree. But because of censorship, that 20% has been elevated. And people think that's like a much bigger opinion than people have. Because of their suppression and free speech, they've now written themselves out of power.
Yeah, and also, I'm trying to think of any issue that Trump hasn't, or it's like I said this on the 5, that it's like showing up at Walmart on Saturday after Black Friday. Trump's picked through everything, you know? And like every single issue, he has gotten there and gotten right in the middle, and you show up and you go like, well, on gender, he kind of did the right thing. On the border, he kind of did. And you're like going like, well, I'm trying to think, what is the new issue? It might be AI in the future, something like that, but I can't see it.
And he got all the easy ones too, like the penny.
Yes.
Like, they could have gotten rid of the penny when I was a kid.
Plastic straws.
Yes, exactly.
Plastic straws, pennies, dudes in locker rooms for women. These are all like no-brainers. Up next, fans of the Maple Leaf are causing us grief.
Years of hard work, decades of dedication, committed to giving back. You've been there, done that, and you're still here for more. So now that you're 50 or older and at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia and IPD, be proactive with Capvaxive, a vaccine specifically designed for adults to help protect against pneumonia, an invasive disease caused by certain types of pneumococcal bacteria. Capvaxive is the only vaccine that helps protect against the strains that cause 84% of IPD in adults 50 or older, compared with up to 52% by other pneumococcal conjugate vaccines. Don't get Capvaxive if you're allergic to the vaccine or its ingredients. Tell your doctor if you have a weakened immune system. Common side effects include injection site reactions, feeling tired, headache, muscle aches, and fever. Whether you've had another pneumococcal vaccine or not, ask your doctor or pharmacist about Capvaxive.
At Harbor Freight, we design and test our own tools and sell them directly to you. No middleman, just quality tools you can trust at prices you'll love. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
And now here's Chris Cunahan with the Leaf Filter Gutter Report and what changing weather conditions can mean for your home. Chris?
Our patented leaf filter technology keeps your gutters clog-free year-round. No matter where you live, no matter the climate. Locally trained professionals will clean, repair, and install the Leaf Filter Gutter Protection System. Leaf Filter guarantees clog-free gutters for the life of your home. Schedule your free inspection today. Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or visit leaffilter.com.
This is an extraordinary journey that has never been filmed before. The scope of the Americas is so massive. It's Earth's great supercontinent, our home. There are things that you did not know exist beneath places that you have walked. I think that's extraordinary.
The Americas. Check your local listings.
When you see what it's really like when our skin touches wool, you see why we need Downy Free and Gentle with no perfumes or dyes. It not only makes your clothes softer and is gentle on your skin, it breathes life into your laundry.
Scott Bessent live on Special Report. How will the Treasury Secretary implement the President's vision? Don't miss Brett's exclusive interview from the Treasury Department building tomorrow.
If you know luxury, it's not just award-winning, it's rewarding.
Sattva Mattresses supports all types of sleepers. Luxury is handcrafted and assembled in American factories and brought directly to you with our complimentary in-home delivery and setup service. Which is why over 90% of customers would recommend Sattva to friends and family. Sattva, luxury mattresses made affordable.
Blue Chew is a telemedicine service connecting men with licensed medical providers prescribing ED meds. Get your first month free at BlueChew.com.
As we age, we get lines, and that's okay. But our makeup needs change. That's why I created What the Foundation. It's ultra moisturizing and melts seamlessly into your skin. Learn more at jonesroadbeauty.com.
Hi, I'm John Stamos. But you can do that. You know, when I need to relax, nope, almost. Yes, I play Goldfish Casino Slots, the free-to-play mobile slots game with an underwater appeal. What's better than daily bonuses, mini games, and big wins? My hair. But that's it. Plus, there are over 200 slots to choose from. You know how you play some apps and they only have made-up games? That never works for me. Download Goldfish Casino Slots for free and get a 100 million coin bonus. Goldfish Casino Slots. Go for the gold.
It's coming your way. Hey, hey, it's video of the day.
Canada got cocky till we crushed them in hockey. Our video of the day comes from the NHL's Four Nations Face-Off tournament. Nancy Pelosi couldn't make it. In Montreal, where Team USA went head-to-head with Team Canada. But when our national anthem was played, the arena full of Canadians did this. Wow, usually when I hear boos like that, it's when I'm putting my shirt back on. Once the game started, 3 fights broke out in the first 9 seconds.
Did not see this. Bennett in the lineup for the first.
Wow, that got uglier faster than Taylor Swift in the rain. Hey, Molly, is there some big, grand meaning to come out of this? I mean, these fights break out, they boo our national anthem. What put your analysis on this? I'm trying to find meaning from this.
I absolutely think there's meaning here, and it made me so proud as an American to see the whistle blows and the guys take off their gloves and go for it. It's like things we haven't seen since the 1980s, this pride in the country. And Canada, I understand that Trump has said some mean things about them or wants to take them over. They should remember that we are responsible for their security and that they've been good friends, but this is just disrespectful. But I definitely think America's back, and it's not just Trump and Vance; it's down to the hockey players.
Loftus, did this remind you of the bum fights in the shelter?
Yep. I had some flashbacks.
Yeah. Was it hard for you to watch?
It was.
It was hard, wasn't it? You know what's interesting? Nobody gets hurt.
Hockey dudes know how to fight. This was great, and it was a long time coming. Now I love our brothers and sisters up there in Canada.
Me too.
You're good people. But this whole thing is like a John Hughes movie.
Yes.
Canada's like our nerdy friend. America's the sporto. We take care of Canada. We don't let anybody beat up Canada. But when Canada starts giving us the business, you better remember who brought you to the party, pal. And we will take you out. We had Canada's back with the whole freedom trucker thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were standing behind them 110%. And just because Governor Trudeau got her panties in a twist, they're going to boo our national anthem? No. Gloves off, eh?
What?
I also hate to say this because it's not very nice.
What?
But the booing also sounded very low T. The booing itself was boo. and then they lost the game.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I'm sorry, but if you're gonna act like a hardo, you gotta win. That's like rule number 1 of acting like a hardo. But yeah, this with the hockey fights, people love hockey fights. Actually, I dated this guy once who he had this roommate. I went to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and his roommate was crying on the couch. And I was like, "What's going on, buddy?" And he said, "I'm just thinking about how much I love hockey fights." So wherever that guy is, congrats on this.
Yes. It made him cry. Tom, are we being a little mean on our little brother up north?
That's what I thought. But, you know, Molly changed my mind. This is great. I'm like pro-American. I thought I was getting ready to say this was much ado about nothing, because I don't take it really seriously what happens at sporting events. The crowd's a little out of control. But you know what? That opinion is gone now, Molly. I agree. America number 1. Let's go to war with Canada. But, you know, I generally like the Canadians. I don't know why they keep importing their, like, movie stars to us.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, it's like...
Maybe they just have a small film industry, and that's why we get all their spillover.
I don't want them. We don't need them. We got, like, Michael J. Fox, Ryan Reynolds, you know, he's a Canadian.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling. Keanu Reeves is a Canadian.
Yes, Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Come on. If it weren't for these jerks, I might have a career in show business.
Canadians are stealing our actors' jobs.
Yes.
That's right. Wow. I bet they suppress your wages, too.
Yeah.
Send them back, I say. Apparently, the fights were planned before the game. Did you know that? The two Tachuk? How do you say it?
Tachuk.
Kachuk. I don't know. What do I know? They planned the 3 opening fights.
I also just like, contrary to what you were saying, Canada, they live for hockey. That's all they care about is hockey. For us, it's like our 4th major sport.
Right.
And so we didn't just beat them up, we also beat them. I mean, it's just a beautiful day.
Yes.
That's what... This should settle it. Their little made-up sport. We came in, we whooped them. But listen, if it continues, I'm prepared to start curling.
Yes. All right.
They'll have nothing.
We're going to take your curling, your maple syrup, and your poontang. Poutine?
No. Poontang. We'll take your poontang.
Poutine? Oh, you're laughing with me. I get it.